Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, The Future of Internet Access with Microsoft Entra Internet Access. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Gail Kozakowski, the head of marketing at Crucial Logics. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that the session is being recorded. Could you just flip the slide, Emmanuel?
Here.
The session is being recorded, so you're going to be in listen-only mode. But please ask questions all throughout. Don't hesitate just by using the chat or the Q&A feature that you see up at the top of your screen. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. Amal Joshi is our CEO, and he has over 18 years of experience leading complex IT transformations. And we're thrilled to welcome back Emmanuel Bernal as the Principal Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. He has over 15 years experience in cybersecurity, data center, and cloud technology. And with that, I'll hand it over to Amal to get us started.
All right, Emmanuel, back by popular demand, it seems. We had a great conversation on our last webinar, and I got some really positive feedback. People were super excited about people are super excited about the whole prospect of Entra Private Access, and just the concept and what it means to their organization. I actually had one of my customers mention that he was looking forward to that webinar so much that he was actually relaxing on a beach in Mexico, and he decided to log in on vacation. So it seems like that topic kind of hit home. So this topic is now the step 2 of that topic, or the next or the other side, let's just call it, of that topic. Entra Private Access and Entra Internet Access, both kind of branching out from that whole Entra suite, or the secure access platform that Microsoft has. It's exciting because I think Entra Private Access has this whole idea of disrupting how people view firewalls. I think Entra Internet Access will probably do the same thing. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about that from you.
No, thank you, Mal. Before getting started and going deep into the content, first of all, thanks for inviting me as well, and creating this awareness and interest of those features that they are not really has been like recently launched. I'm talking about months and years, GA. But that's good because one of the things that I want to highlight, what you mentioned, is everything is connected. Microsoft, talking about security, it's unified platform, and you will see this single combination of two words, unified platform. And you don't need if I need to do private access, I need to then change my deployment, do internal access. It's basically, if you are doing governance or Entra ID or something like that, you will go in that. So only to, like, before starting, I want to highlight what you mentioned, is because everything is connected, right? So you don't need to see like a siloed solution to this type of connections or features that you want to leverage in your organization, right? So getting back on it for making this what we covered. And if I keep this slide, I need to talk about differently about other solutions. No, basically it's how we cover this type of thing. So very glad to be here again. I'm all and ready to start.
Amazing. All right.
So this is something, we are very fact. What I like about this webinar is we need to have like these current trends, right? Of that they are not the same as 2 years ago. So this is the challenges that implies to all the organization. And now you will see Microsoft adding AI things, right? So all these trends are also related to AI attacks that we see frequently. So if you are with great tools around AI, attackers will be doing attacks with AI tools, right? So they are using it in a bad way. So you need to have like this also type of evolution around technology, right? And one of the main things that we were mentioning is the vendor management overhead. Previously, we have like the firewall guy, the antivirus guy, the identity guy. So that's something that it won't help your organization. So that's how we are targeting that, because not now not everything is on-prem, not everything is on the cloud. So we need to make sure also we have like this empathy of the customer environment. We cannot change things drastically. So that's something that will help you maximize everything that we were talking. So those are the trends. We have, for example, an increase on people going to work at home during the pandemic on 2020. Then now you will see on the news the challenges of getting back to the office as well, right? So I want to highlight this because it's an interesting conversation.
Right.
I need to go to the office to connect to a Teams meeting, right? But it's not about the connection. It's not about that they are auditing your job. It's basically you get used to that, right? So we get used to expansion around different worlds, around different communications. For example, I work with partners, customers on UK, right? So I cannot say I need to go in person, travel for 2 days, and then I will be here only for a conversation. So we need to make sure we adapt everything. And with that said, I want to do like a recap of what we were looking always on the Entra product family, right? That's the reason why we're expanding more. It's not only conditional access, it's not zero trust. I think it's evolving on governance and security. So right now we need to see data more frequently. And you mentioned that you're in your current deployments and other scenarios, you are seeing that more, that you have been requested about governance, what are the features. So we have it here, only we need to make sure what is covered, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of organizations are looking to standardize their tool sets, right? And they've kind of done that throughout the evolution of Microsoft's security product family, right? Like, you had Microsoft 365, Defender for 365, and Defender for Endpoint, and Defender for Cloud. Now you're talking about ID governance from a identity lifecycle perspective. And so these products kind of now venture into the network arena more
Yeah.
than anything else, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also as I think I shared before as well on our previous conversation, it's not about a removing roles, removing products, replacing things. No, it's only about to identify the use case and leverage what you are currently doing, right? So one of the main things that I still receiving a lot of questions is if I'm already doing conditional access, how I can leverage that more. And we were doing like the demos on the private access, say you are doing conditional access, we're adding an application and a target, and then you are all set to work on these use cases, right? Or the just-in-time access, those type of things that looks like simple, but it's the main pillar of identity right now. So it's how you are going to be covered and how we are removing the business case with this technical feature, right? And again, everything is connected to zero trust. I was, I'm sorry, on a previous call with a partner. I want the zero trust approach, but it's basically you need to follow the principles on that manner.
Right.
So you can continue leveraging those type of configurations of scenarios that you have already in place, right? So that's really
Right.
interesting. And that's the reason I'm moving into the zero trust approach, right?
Right.
And everything is connected. And one of the main reasons I will always highlight is that if you go, for example, with conditional access, it's at the end zero trust. If you see it translated to everything, if you want to read zero trust books, whatever you want to explore around that, it's conditional access, the main core of this
100%.
one. And
Absolutely.
I always say, and I will always share, conditional access is not identity. Conditional access is more related to different pillars. So you can now do things around your devices, around your data, and you will see, and that's the reason I put it in green, the importance of data security.
Right.
You can leverage with conditional access. Yes, you can do it, right? Because and I like this word. And if you memorize this slide, it's only for this word phrasing. Continuous risk assessment and automation, right? So remember GPOs in the past? That was not
Similar.
an
Yeah.
evolution, right? Maybe
Yeah.
you have a customer, right, around
Yeah.
GPOs, but they cannot get rid of the co-management piece, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, conditional access to me And zero trust in general is like anything that touches your organization and organization's data or gets access into your organization has to be validated over and over again, right? Like it just can't be, oh, you have a password, no problem. Okay, you have a password, but let's check your location. Let's make sure that you're coming in from a device that is compliant. So there has to be multiple levels, for someone to achieve zero trust. It just can't be, oh, I have MFA and everything is good. That's not zero trust, right? It has to be built in depth across the organization.
Yeah, and thanks to that comment, I will add that now we're bringing, and you will see more, the risk factor, right?
Right.
And this
Right.
is something that I always share to my customers, that they are doing co-management or they are doing things around GPOs. They are continue being really super useful, right? But
Yeah.
one of the things that you won't have is the threat intelligence and telemetry, right? So these
Right.
correlations to avoid false positives, to make sure it's real, to make sure the logging was not in purpose, right? So different type of mechanisms that we bring into the behavioral analytic piece. So it's not
Right.
like, and I will put an example here. Remember in the past, the impossible travel that we had,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So like, it was very easy. Maybe I can connect to a VPN and it's a false positive, and they were challenging us. But now we are adding, based on application, based on location, based on sign in, if that's a tool that you are using, we can learn from the VPN. If you're doing a VPN connection and you are doing that, it's basically how you can avoid. You will see, for example, here in the US, we have like several restrictions of applications per state.
Right.
So a lot of people say, tell to the users, buy this VPN, right? But at
Right.
the end, they buy the VPN and the application will learn from you're connecting, you're creating this network. No,
Right.
I need to, and that's how we are evolving that. So it's basically what you want to have access is based on the region. So people will complain, hey, I already bought this VPN and it's not connecting to the application that now has been prohibited here in the States. So no, it's not about network. It's about this type of evolution that we have on the policies. And this is in the back end what I was mentioning.
Right.
AI has been here, right? Since a lot of time.
Just a quick thing there. There's a question, and I just want to mention to our audiences that if you do have a question, do drop it in the chat, and we will address them. Sorry to interject there, but I think there is on the topic of conditional access, Sylvia is asking, conditional access should also include a ABAC capabilities, not RBAC, ABAC capabilities for more granularity. Does Entra support ABAC capabilities, which is attribute based access control?
Yeah, so depending on how the configuration you mix, you can, it's right now supported, right? So only we need to make sure before going into your conditional access policies, how your attributes were managed. If they are, it's sometimes shared from on-prem directories, or they are cloud native. That's the only thing we need to remember. We don't always populate all the attributes due to confidential privacy things around the HR organization. We need to make sure which attributes are visible, right? So it's very important. Now it's supported. It's basically only we need to make sure how we configure the policies. So the reason why in response to Sylvia, it's we have some attributes that are not populated from the on-prem directory to Entra ID. So we're not able to see them. As long as they have a Entra hybrid join, we are able to see the specific attributes, we can go from there, right? And also that will connect you to governance on the privileged identity management, right? So it's a combination of both things. So things, I just opened the question, so I'm able to see that from that perspective.
Okay, perfect.
Thing. And this is only like a recap of what I was mentioning, right? What is in the backend? What is in the main signals that we have on the machine learning? What I was mentioning about the behavioral analytic, right? And here is your comment and your phrase about continuous access evaluation, right?
That's right.
So if you're, we have a lot of cases of people leaving the organization and they still living on the directory. So we don't think the previous years, we know with this movement of remote works and on-site workers about what are the access that they need. Maybe they switch roles that they don't need any more data. So it's not around GPOs. Hey, I inherited some GPOs from the other role. No, you need to keep that identity life cycle live with this type of solution. So that will help you more to connect. And if you already have in place, as Sylvia was asking, you can keep going with your previous configuration. You don't need to reinvent the wheel or do something additional that will help you from that perspective. Okay. And now moving more tangible to our topic, it's what we were talking before is it's only that's the reason I like this slide, because it makes the difference, the clarity around Entra Private Access and Internet Access. So what we'll be covering today, it's everything that it's on Internet, basically an application, any resource on the Internet. When we're talking about on-prem resource and application, it goes into private access, right? So it's basically what we call it a secure web gateway that we're putting in the middle. So that's how we translate it here on our main solution that we're going to cover. And it has less implications, right? When on-prem, we need to validate the application, the connectivity, the risk. But now here, if I'm connected to a third-party app, I know it might be a software as a service or something similar, and then I can move on into these type of things. But the main message that I want to cover here is that these two products extend conditional access to web traffic and on-prem. Okay, so if you're doing your conditional access policies, you can leverage more. And basically, internet access is, we call it this identity-centric secure gateway that protects the employees from threats of the open internet. We can do filters around malicious or non-compliant content. And then, this is more targeted, we can enforce our conditional access policies and apps on this internet traffic. That's all. So that means you can extend your conditional access policy that you have, but now for new apps. So you don't need to reinvent something, configure anything. So that's how, when we talk about secure internet access, we need to take care of two things. Leverage this unification of the conditional access and ensure the less privileged access you have, right? Okay. This is a zero trust principle, okay? Remember, we have assume breach, less privileged access, and then it is connected to just in time, but this is one of the main principles of zero trust, okay? So we need to configure that. It doesn't apply to the other two because this refers to private access, but this is the scope in general of what we were talking before. And this is like a drill down of the previous one that we were discussing with Amal. So you have the private access, but here you need to make sure you govern the access. So you don't need to work on other things, but you can leverage so it's a journey. So I will drive you into the slide. You have your conditional access. You can unify, create this, ensuring you have the less privileged access, governing the access that you can have with Entra ID governance, and then everything is what I was mentioning before on the previous slide. You can have everything based on risk, based on identity protection. So the answer here and the scope is everything is connected. So I will put some examples, Amal. If you have Entra ID protection working on your tenant, you're using unified, you are using conditional access policies, then you are ready to go to internet access. You only need to bring which resources you want to have like this governance and ensure least privileged access. So it's more easy to deploy. It's more smooth to understand the process, but it doesn't bring any complexity, right?
Right. Okay. So, but I mean, the organization should have gone through that journey of creating a hardened Office 365 tenant, hardening their endpoints. You know, I know that we're going to talk about Defender for endpoint agents and this whole service being built into it, but have that in. If they have all that in place, this is a very logical next step at that point, right? Yeah.
Totally agree. And also it's important that the main message around this internet access is the secure web gateway that we are bringing and we are putting into internet applications, right? And this is how we do it. to all internet resources. So we like this type of combination, internet access and Entra ID protection, so you can leverage everything. And I like this drill down of the topics that I was mentioning, because you can do like more web filtering. I remember when I was in previous experiences, previous phases of my life, when we were doing, for example, some appliances like were load balancers, like F5, Citrix, A10, they were doing basically this, but with on-prem applications. So we were publishing through this appliance to the internet, the application. So they were doing the load balancing, web filtering. We can say that it's basically the same approach, but right now with the internet applications, right? So if you're familiar with that secure reverse proxy solution, we are doing the same without involving on-prem, but we have the capability to put in another layer so I can manage the access to these internet resources, right? So it's to make it more clear, right? And basically on some analogies. And then, as you can see, most of the features are features that you have been already doing, maybe with identity protection, with governance, and then you only need to leverage for your internet resources. That's all, basically.
I'm going to ask you maybe a completely a question on the left side here. Where do you see the future of firewalls with these two technologies kind of taking over? Like, in my head, I look at it and go, you then end up using firewalls. It doesn't go away, but correct, tell me if you agree or not. Firewalls don't go away, but you only use it for transaction, and if you want like segregation of different environments within your organization, physically or virtually, but with these two technologies, I think the traditional use of firewalls dwindles even further, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You made a great comment, and I don't want to talk about firewalls because they have been really used. Now they call it next generation firewalls, stage firewalls, everything, but at the end, it won't be aligned to technology, right? For example, if I'm not going to use Microsoft, but I'm third party, ChatGPT. Do you need a firewall to use ChatGPT? Not really, right? You need to make sure you have like this layer of what information you have access to, what are you sharing there. Then I will bring Copilot, but you don't need a firewall for Copilot, right? So basically, the firewall, I always say, it's very app driven. It's very access driven to a specific set of networks, specific access of sources. We're still seeing dependency on prem. And we start seeing the same on Azure, on third-party clouds, putting the VMs and then the firewall, right? But at the end, it's more like the firewalls, the network design, that it's evolving into layer 7 attacks. So we are putting that web application firewall, right? So I think it totally aligns with your message and business case that you're mentioning. At the end, they need to transform the technology. I don't know how they will evolve, right? I have friends in some firewall companies say, well, I'm still selling on-prem data centers, big things, but it's at the end, it keeps on the network pillar. It doesn't go out like this, that you have the identity, the network, the secure internet access, right? So it's all time of the things that you are on. And I remember this filtering, a lot of tools say I need web filtering, I cannot access from work, YouTube. Right? So that's a filtering, and it's a firewall at the end. But right now we are evolving through Entra Internet Access to create these profiles and make this filtering, right? Really easy, right? Depending on which application. And the good thing is that they need to go to the internet for the application, so it's more easy to classify in that way. So that's the reason I'm putting some use cases that you are mentioning, but it's basically that for financial department you can create. So instead of GPOs, instead of profiles per area, you create your profiles based on the internet access they require, and then you're good to go. I will go back because you will see marketing, they need social media.
Media, that's right.
But
makes sense.
Internet or maybe finance, they don't need it, right? So that's my analogy from my previous tools, and it gets me into my previous, in my initial message. You don't need more solutions. If you have Entra Suite, if you're using this leverage, I always say, And I'm not selling that to your to my customers. I'm selling you more. It's if you already have this
Right.
Entra Suite, if you're using it, leverage it now on this evolution of Pro. Say, okay, makes sense because it will help us to evolve on that area, right? So it's important. And only here to clarify, and that's the reason it's very straightforward, different than private access that you need to take care of on-prem resources. But I was talking about this, but it's the real-time evaluation engine, right? So let's see, and I will get back to this case. Imagine this financial user gets it becomes a high-risk user, right? And this person is connecting to some resources. So I need to correlate this type of behavior based on what I'm giving access to them, right? And this is where the governance piece enters. How I avoid confidential information to go out to those applications. If I already have audited, but it's increasing my security posture. So immediately I identify that this risky usage has been high. I need to make sure I address that situation, what's happening. Maybe it's compromised, so I need to have that level of confidence if they're going to access this application. So it helps me as another mechanism to go on that scenario, right? And remember, everything is audited, log. You can have integrations, you can have auto remediation. So that's keep things easier for the IT department and security department as well, right?
One of the questions that we keep getting is, with so many different LLMs and consumer AI models out there like Perplexity and Gemini or whatever, right? Organizations are going to standardize on what they are sanctioning as their own, approved AI model, and they need to block everything else. I mean, traditionally you would use like a cloud app security, like CASB solution, to block third-party AI, right? But I think this could be another layer, so you can actually block, saying, okay, I don't want my users to go to ChatGPT, and they can only use Copilot, and they can only use they can't use Perplexity or whatnot, so that the data can be contained within the organization and not have people. I mean, the famous use case was that Samsung's code was released on ChatGPT, because people were using the internal code to correct the syntax, or to check whether or not that code would compile properly, and then it ended up going on the web through these LLMs, right? And so I think that's something that people should think about as a use case for this solution as well.
Yeah, and you brought a great point. We have different tools. Maybe you have heard about a team on the audience, Defender for Cloud Apps, that have governance restriction, but that's E5, right? So that's another set of licensing. So what we're talking here is only Entra. So you can still leverage in your conditional access policies. If you have identity protection, you have a perfect mix of features, right?
That's right.
And one of the main things that I think it was with a customer, I mentioned also in private access, say, I have Entra Suite. I didn't know I have like these features, right? And we were showing, we have like our 5-minute elevator pitch with the CISO. So we showed them the video that I shared before on the webinar about the RDP.
Yes.
You can get rid of that VPN, and you're saving costs, and you're already bought, because they already have it, Entra ID Suite. We were not trying to sell it. I'm on the CSU. I'm helping customers to use their tools, right? So it's something that really helps us, right? So that's the reason you see on this internet access different to the other webinar, not hearing me about replacing thing, right? So leverage what you have here and translate it in some concepts, maybe like a secure web gateway, then with the just-in-time access. So I'm connecting most of our enhanced features that we have on the Entra Suite, right? And at least you have a checklist. If you have E3 or Plan 1 of Entra, most of the customers are doing conditional access with Intune with a lot of things, right? So I want to use these analogies before going to the demos, but we have like a case with a customer, say a high-level executive they need him to join into a Teams meeting, but he lost the computer during the travel. So he was trying to find like some relative friends, say, can I borrow your Mac OS? Yeah, for sure. But he was not aware that he only needs to onboard some type of devices. So IT was aware, say, no, as long as your user is recognized and it's not risky, and everything is accomplished on that Mac OS, and it was updated, it has a defense, it has another antivirus, but we were able to check, and he was able to connect to a Teams meeting, right? He was able to open Teams, and then everything keeps that. But it was thanks to conditional access. It was not that they need to go to GPOs or something. You are allowed on this conditional access feature to connect as long as the device is compliant, as long as the application is. But you can also do this type of filterings without going directly into Intune, into other things that can leverage your scenario, right? So before going to the demo scenario, you want to highlight something about
Okay.
Perfect. So one of the main things that I know there are videos, right? I know but one of the main things that this is something that I learned this year, and I have been able to bring it more frequently to the table. We need to think always on the user, right?
Yeah.
As IT, we always think, hey, we need to be very restrictive. We need to be but yes, I have been sharing this all the week. You have seen how Microsoft evolved from the RDP connection to Azure Virtual VMs, right? Remember, we were connecting to RDP some years ago. You were able to have that open port for hours, weeks, months, but we start receiving RDP in all the world. It doesn't matter if they're Microsoft, but RDP protocol attacks, DDoS, and then Microsoft decided to use Azure Bastion, right? But some customers, some people doesn't like it. I don't want to go to this VM and open it on my tab of the browser, right? I don't like it, right? It's not user friendly. I like to copy like the resolution and move it because I'm the manager of Active Directory or something like that. And then we realize that the user is important. So now you will see on Azure this just-in-time feature to connect through RDP, right? So we are making a secure channel, just-in-time access, validating that you have and then it's opening the ports and then automatically are closed after 2 hours. I don't remember if you can put like a default or 4 hours, but it's audited, everything's logged in, and then the RDP, it's there, right? So you have your native client, but it's something of the behaviors that you're starting seeing. We need to think always on the user, right?
Right.
And it's all about, I always say, it's not about forcing the user. It's about creating an adoption method to them. Okay, so it's important, and that's how you will see, right? This demo, this video basically works on a video that it's have like an apps dashboard, very similar in the case, but they need to have access immediately to this type of application, right? So basically what you will see, it's presenting these, most of them are web application or SaaS application, but it's presenting this more self-service portal, right? And this is what I was talking about. Let me pause a little bit. So here you will see it's user-friendly. The user doesn't even know about if I'm talking Entra Internet Access, if I was on the webinar of a mall, right? So the user, I need access, right? But at the end, this is how we are bringing this option to the user, so he or she is able to request. Here is basically using least privilege access, right? But it's doing like a self-service request of this access that they need file share, and everything is audited, as I was mentioning, and this is having like that governance to that specific file, right? So now this process can be approved by a IT admin, whatever you mentioned, or it can be automatically be triggered if the user requests. And everything that you see here, it's conditional access. So it's respecting the conditional access of the user, right? It's doing the correct flow. It's only different. Hey, I need access to this application, but now you need to raise a ticket, right? And open something additional that creates complexity. So I need access. For example, in my demos, in my live tenants, I do the same. And now you will see it's available, right? So it's basically you're opening that path. It's on the cloud, right? It's not like you need something on-prem, but it's something that you are giving this application. It doesn't matter here it's a file share because it's more visible, but it's how you give access, or you are doing here on these 3 steps: conditional access, governance, and then you are also leveraging your secure web gateway. And they don't see the gateway. They don't say, hey, welcome to my secure new gateway, right?
Right.
The only thing they are seeing is basically the same pattern. I need access to this application. I'm this user, and I'm validating anything. The only thing is that you will see is that we are going more into the internet, right? So it's important how you will see this evolution of the user. Same case, right? But it's more targeted to something that you need access directly. And again, this is user friendly, right? And you will see they don't have, let me pause a little bit, they don't have access, right? So here is how you're filtering. And then I can go again to my access packages, present them to the user, sorry, and then, hey, I need access. Oh, there is financial team. If you are not part of this financial team, the user won't be able to access, and you have the business crucifixion form there, right?
So you can basically you're further segregating the SaaS applications and saying, do you need it or do you not need it, right? And then providing them access, not just the entire company has access because one person needs it somewhere, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, it actually makes it so much more easier because and
But that's all.
You
saw the
okay.
process.
So the process is fantastic because we actually have clients that are law firms, right? Which they have very sensitive information that they don't want people to upload, right? To Dropbox or whatnot. SharePoint is their standard. But then they partner with someone and they use Dropbox. So at that point, we only want to give that person access to that thing, to that particular SaaS application like Dropbox. You can now create a profile that would allow them to get access to that, and then everyone else won't have access. That's phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, that's all. And you see, friendly, the thing you're bringing to the user, you need to go to, now you're presenting this to my access instead of my account. Say, click here and you see what is available for you. If we're not presenting that, it's because it's not available, right? But it's very similar of the scenarios that I have here, right? And we have time, and I can show you here really quick. For example, I have my access. This is me. It's not like a video, right? But I'm logging with everything here with my authentication. So this is conditional access. So let me only put here, input the number, because I want it to show how we present it to the customer. So they don't need to, when they onboard the device and when they are new to the company, they don't need to open or raise a ticket or highlight this onboard. I have my access action, my access overview or pending action. So we are opening that as well. And you can see what you saw on the demo. So this is for my demo tenant, this is my packages, and you can put the description here, right? Or maybe it's temporal. And this is just in time, right? It doesn't mean that I need, look at this, right? So this is what I have my active, and this is just in time. So nothing connected to a specific thing, but it's my expire. I can renew it. So now I can do it and see then this is what is available for me. If there is something high level, I won't see it here. So it's really interesting how we are evolving, and also that's the connection of my message to the user friendly. So I'm opening this to them.
You could also have just-in-time access to a particular service and then revoke that access. Very cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Here you're presenting, I know users are big fans of app stores, right? Yeah. So also everything is connected to our topic, right? So I have my apps, I have my devices. So we're bringing more and enhancing these type of features. My account, you can set up your MFA process, but I think we're not creating complexity. And if you need approval, maybe if it's something critical, as you mentioned, Amol, it needs manager approval. So as I always say, they can blame someone, right? They say it was that manager, but you have the tracking, or it will show you here, it will send you an email. Hey, I need approval from a mall to access the, it's only for 1 day, or it's only for some tax specific related. So you have access 1 month. So that's the cool thing, that we're bringing the privileged identity management, governance, and everything connected here. I'm also leaving for Q&A in case we have, because I think it's part of the process what they saw today, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's open it up for question and answers. If anyone has any questions regarding the tool set, just put that in the Q&A section or chat.
I see here, Sylvia, perfect.
We already answered that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I don't think people have questions. On the next slide, actually, Emmanuel, I want to
Sure.
announce our next webinar. And the next webinar is going to be about SharePoint agents. You know, how can we turn SharePoint into an automated powerhouse, automation powerhouse? And it's it's hosted on March 27th. And I believe one of your colleagues, we're gonna get who is going to be joining us on that webinar. One of your colleagues is going to be presenting
Yeah.
the SharePoint agent. I mean, there's a lot of conversation about SharePoint agents lately when it comes to Copilot and AI
Yeah.
and automation. So it's going to be an exciting webinar. So
No,
looking
let me
forward to that
highlight
one.
them all. I think
Yeah,
what I can see from the security compliance
yeah,
previous side, one of the main things around Copilot is not that the tool needs to be configured in some way to behave with SharePoint. All the configurations are on SharePoint, right? So as
right.
long as you have the correct restrictions, and I like the topic, it's very interesting because that gives you a preparation to going to Copilot. It's not that
Well,
the Copilot is going there. I know it's an integration, but as long as you have this SharePoint integration correctly with the permissions, glad that you are bringing the topics that we are seeing on this AI era, right? So
yeah, and that's the point of these webinars that we have scheduled once a month, with Microsoft CSAs, right? The next person that's joining us is his name is Mazen Arawi,
mhm,
right? And he's a SharePoint expert, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, the whole point is to make the webinars technical, have some demos in there.
mhm,
I definitely never wanted it to be very markety, right? So it's
mhm,
it's meant for a very technical audience, and that's really it. Emmanuel, the last two webinars have been super fun. I
mhm.
know that they don't just come together very easily. There's a lot of work that you have to do in the background. So I truly appreciate the time that you've taken, and I'm looking forward to doing more webinars with you. This has been amazing.
No, thank you, Mo. And I want to give you, and also for the audience, I think not everybody's bringing these topics to your table, to your conversation. So I think Mo and his team is doing a great job because they are the topics that we are seeing recently, right? Connected to the AI era, to security. So I love it. And also, I want to also, I'm very grateful to be invited to this session because it's, as I always say on my session, it's the elevator pitch. What
Yes,
happens if you need to sell enterprise access to your grandma or
right.
to one member
But
of your family? It's in one, I
yeah,
know it's 1 hour 45, but it's good because we have
right,
less time to explain the use case at least, right?
right,
So more than going into 5 hours workshop, deep dive,
right.
it's more easy that way. So I'm very grateful with you, Jackie, be part of this team and uh, great to see that topic as well because leverage Amol on his webinar, right? Because it's very important what he's seeing on the field and the momentum that we are seeing around technology and business cases with our
Right.
customers. So I like
No,
it, Amol.
amazing. Thank you so much. And just talking to you is actually getting my wheels turning. I'm like, oh, our client X can use it this way, sort of thing. So this is great. Thank you, and thank you for everybody. Everyone else that's attended this webinar. We'll be sending an email with the video and a recap of this as well. So be on the lookout for that one. Thank you so much, and we'll see you March 27th.